Hi, my name is Barry Sterling Mitchell. This is the Sterling Net Point Power Ranking Show, and my guest or co-host rather is Mr. Ben Dickerson.
Hello out there.
So let me give everyone who is with us just a quick reminder of what this show is about. It's going to be short. There's not a lot of time necessarily to go through or needed to go through the basic four statistics that we focus on. And that would be average net points, average points for, average points against, and average turnover differential. So we're talking about scoring, scoring defense, and when you put that together, you have a net point arrangement. Now we rank teams by net points, fully objective way to rank teams. Has nothing to do with opinion or conjecture. The win margin is how you get ranked. So the team with the best win margin is number one, and that could be a positive number or it could be a negative number if you're losing all the time. And the team with the worst net point would be in 32nd place. Again, scoring points for, that's easy. Points against, what are you holding the other teams to? That's easy. The last one is average turnover differential. We believe that turnovers lead to points, and the turnover differential means that that's where they, again, just like with the points, they take the turnovers that you take minus the turnovers that you get. And that could be both a positive and a negative number. We take a look at these because we found that tracking this, it really gives you a read on what's going on in the league. And I call it a baseline for your analysis. So you'll see what I'm talking about. Ben, let's get ready to kick this thing off. Now, on the left, you'll see A&P, that's average net points. On the right, I have average net points for the last 3 weeks. We started doing this so we could kind of get an idea of who got some momentum, especially at this time of season where we got 6 games left, Benny.
Yep.
6 games left. This is number 13, and you only got 17 games. So I guess we should say weeks and not games.
Yeah, weeks.
Yeah, weeks. All right. We always give credit or a little kudos to the team in first place, and that team for the season, averaging 11.5 plus 11.5 net points. That's your LA Rams. When you look over the last 3 weeks, same team, except they're averaging 15 points a game over the last 3 weeks. So they look like they're actually getting stronger. Now, Ben, you'll see some color coding here. I just decided to add this because it makes it easier to kind of see which team is on the season side, but not on the last 3 weeks side.
At
So,
all?
well, as far as the top
I
half,
mean, in the top.
as far as the top half is concerned, so let's look for
Ooh,
Indianapolis over on the right-hand side.
interesting.
Mm,
Okay.
Kansas City, Buffalo, and the LA Chargers.
Okay.
All right.
And over the last 3 weeks, they have all dropped out of the top 16.
Yep. Now, the teams that have moved up into the top 16 on the right-hand side, you're talking about Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta. I was a bit surprised, and Cleveland. Even if they're breaking even at zero, they're in the top half there.
Yep.
So your top 5 in net points, the Rams, Indianapolis for the season, Seattle, New England, and Detroit. You want to go 10, you're talking about Kansas City, Denver, Green Bay, Houston, and Buffalo. Philly drops out of the top 10 at plus 2.7 net points. So what you're saying here is that Philadelphia, on average, is winning their games by 2.7 points, okay, on average. Whereas the Rams are beating everybody by 11.5 points on average. So that gives you an idea about, strength of the play as it has added up this season. Now, when you go over to the right-hand side, again, like I said, we're looking at the last 3 weeks. Baltimore, Seattle, Jacksonville, New England. Definitely New England. We're all pretty high on New England, but the fact of the matter is, over the last 3 weeks, those other teams are putting up some good net points. Green Bay at 7, and it falls off with Houston. My Niners tied at 4.7, and Dallas at 3.3. And for Dallas, that's a move up because I believe they were like a minus because of that terrible defense they had earlier in the season. The defense has tightened up. The offense has remained pretty consistent, and they're starting to move up the net point range. Let's drop down to the second half. We're not going to spend a lot of time there. But I color coded the second half just to see what it was. I was like, I'm not going to color code the second half of the rest of the stats. Didn't seem like it was necessary. I mean, the bottom line is you got Dallas, Chicago, Atlanta, and Cleveland now dropped down. As you can see what I was talking about with Dallas, 0.5.
Right.
So they were winning by an average of a half a point, and you'll see the irony in that as we move toward the scoring. But then right in a row, you got Indianapolis, Kansas City, the Chargers, and Buffalo as they fell out. They're right there, ranging between minus 1.3 and minus 3 points. Your bottom team for the season is Tennessee at minus 12.4, and for the last 3 weeks, Washington at 16.3. Now, again, you can go to Sterling Net Point Power Rankings.com, or sterlingnppr.com to actually see these stats, and you'll be able to take a closer look. They'll be there for you once the show is over. Next up, we have the scoring average points for Indianapolis in first place. On the last 3 week side, the Rams putting up 32.3 points per game. Now, Ben, I didn't ask you about the net points. Give you a chance to comment on the previous information. Did you want to say anything about the net point teams?
Yeah. When I look at the differences between where teams are at over the course of the season and what has happened over the last 3 weeks, I usually a big improvement or a big lack of improvement will show itself to my eyes right away. Other than that, I usually look for consistency. You can't get any more consistent than the Rams are. Over the course of the season, they're number one. Over the last 3 weeks, they are number one. So they're holding steady. The next most consistent, and I consider them, and put this out there now, because I haven't done this yet over the course of the season. Right now, I think they're the strongest team in the NFC. They should get the number one seed as far as I'm concerned, unless something happens over the next few weeks. The other team showing the most consistency to me, obviously, is Seattle. But after that, my favorite AFC team, the team I think will get the number one seed in the AFC, is New England. They're sitting at fourth over the course of the season, and right there at fifth over the last 3 weeks. So they're holding steady. They're right on par. They're right where they need to be.
How do you feel about Detroit?
How do I feel about Detroit? I mean, the numbers say that they're right where they should be, but their quality of wins and quality of losses gives me a little pause when I talk about the teams that I think are the strongest in the conference.
Okay. All right.
By the numbers, I can't complain. But the quality of their wins and losses has been very suspect, especially over the last 3 weeks. They haven't fallen far because they haven't lost big, but they have lost.
Okay. All right. Drop down to the bottom half and pretty much the same information. Anything on this group?
Nah, I got nothing there. I don't care about them teams.
Hey, your team is in that group there, buddy.
I don't care about those teams. What we're talking about means nothing to me.
All right, let's go to scoring points for. And again, Indianapolis. Oh man, is there? I didn't put a color, but I'm not really feeling Indianapolis at all. There's your last 3 weeks, your Rams being the Rams, Seattle for the last 3 weeks being Seattle, and Jacksonville trying to do a little something. Detroit and Seattle, in terms of scoring, Detroit putting up 29.6, Seattle 29.5, Dallas 29.1, Buffalo 28.3. Over the last 3 weeks, the Rams 32.3 points per game. Your Seattle is hitting the same number Indianapolis had at 31. Jacksonville 30.3. Detroit and my Niners 29 points on average. So then you got your scoring for the first half, Benny. Now Kansas City, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and Denver dropped out relative to the last 3 weeks. And Atlanta, Houston, Cincinnati, and Arizona moved up in terms of scoring, but they're getting in with some slightly lower numbers. You'll see Denver on the left-hand side at 23.4, tied with my Niners 23.4, dropped out, but you got Arizona at 22.7 that was able to move up. So it depends. It depends. Everything's relative to what the other people are doing. But that's the first or the top half of your scoring team. What do you got for that?
Just talking about Denver, I know these are averages to keep things pretty true, but Denver was on the bye last week, which didn't give them an opportunity to do better. Indianapolis, again, we're talking about quality of wins and how you feel about losses. They had a chance to get a really big statement win against Kansas City last week, and they came up short. It was only by a few points, but they did come up short. But again, even though they came up short, they did put points on the board. So that didn't even seem to hurt them in the rankings, especially overall, over the course of the year. Obviously, over the last 3 weeks, they had a close win, a close loss with a bye in the middle. That's enough to drop them down. And again, Rams look like they're turning it on. Seattle, even though they had a tough one 2 weeks ago, still putting the points on the board. And same thing with Detroit. Even with losses, even with struggles against teams that they should handle, they're still putting up points. So
I saw a little piece on those Ohio State receivers. They were talking about Jackson Smith and Jigga, and the Ohio State group of receivers that he was associated with. That guy, man, one of his teammates said that in practice they saw him snatch a ball out there with one hand, and they're like, "Oh, he's real. That guy's real." So, all right, there you go. What's your scoring for the top half? Let's look at the bottom half quickly. Whoops. All right, right there, 17. You got Philadelphia, your former Super Bowl champs, averaging 23.2 points per game. So you can see the difference between what Philly's scoring and what the top half of the groups are scoring, especially your top five, 31 down to maybe 28 versus 23. So there's about 5 point difference there. Cincinnati right below Philadelphia, and again, that's for the season. They moved to the top half for the last 3 weeks, thanks to one Joe Flacco. I understand that Flacco's going to sit down. Joe Burrow is going to step up for the next game. So we shall see how that affects things. But Vegas is in last place, tied with New Orleans, scoring only 15 points per game. Tennessee 15.2. And then for the last 3 weeks, Vegas again, New Orleans again. Minnesota is a little further down. They were at 25 and they dropped to 14 over the last 3 weeks. So they've had some struggles. Philadelphia over the last 3 weeks, 15.7 points per game. Well, that's why everybody's in such a tizzy over there and wondering what's going on with the offense. Your favorite fraud is the LA Chargers, 19.3 points per game.
did you say favorite frauds?
Yep.
I love it.
Cleveland, thanks to Shador over the last 3 weeks, they's a part of that anyway. 20 points per game. Tampa Bay just ahead of that. Kansas City just ahead of that. And your Giants, Benny, 22.3 points per game. I don't know. Benny, I'm starting to agree with you. I like Jameis.
There's room on the bandwagon.
I like Jameis. Jameis. Oh my goodness. And the
You
thing about
remember they picked him up first before they picked up Russell Wilson.
yeah,
Just think if perhaps they had just went with it and never got Russell Wilson, first of all, it would save him a couple $1,000,000.
a lot million.
Yeah, well, it's not. He's not getting that much considering he's a quarterback, but yeah, it would have saved them a handful of money that they could have used on other positions. But I believe, like when they got James, I was happy. I was happy. Hey, look, no risk it, no biscuit, baby. Let's go.
Well, he looks like a starting quarterback first and foremost.
Yes, he
Going
does.
up to the line of scrimmage, getting up on the center, blah blah blah. You know what I mean?
Yes, he
That part of
does.
his game is already there. It's not like you got to develop it. Jackson Dark, getting it. He looks like that part of his game is there. You know, so all he has to do is avoid the picks.
That is
If he
correct.
if he brings his picks down to a representative number, y'all got something going there. So points against defense, scoring defense, Benny average points against APA. Number one, the LA Rams. I think we heard that team up in that rank before, didn't we?
Yeah, yes, you have.
You mean Christmas. Houston, number two. Denver, number three. That Houston defense is, man, them guys is coming. Kansas City was that number four for the season, but they dropped out for the last 3 weeks there. Green Bay, New England, Seattle dropped out for the last 3 weeks in terms of their defense. Philly, Indianapolis dropped out. Philly's still in there. Matter of fact, they moved up. San Fran dropped out at 21.8, just behind the Chargers, and Atlanta dropped out. Who moved up in terms of defense? All right, well, number one, you got to give Green Bay their props. Be in the first place for the last 3 weeks, right ahead of Philly, 13.3. Green Bay was 12. Denver, 13.7. Baltimore moved up from the bottom half over the last 3 weeks, allowing only 15 points per game. And again, there's your LA Rams. Okay. Miami moved up. That was a bit of a surprise. They're playing a little bit better. You have New England, Cleveland, Houston, and Carolina filling out your top 10, going from 19 points. Carolina is 21.3. Tech actually tied with Dallas, 21.3. That is, for Dallas, a tremendous improvement, allowing only 21.3 points per game on average from the season, because they were, man, way closer to 30 points. I see a four-way tie: Chargers, Detroit, New Orleans, and Chicago. And they moved up in terms of defense. Now, just because you move up in terms of the points you're giving them, don't necessarily mean you won the game. It just means you gave, your points allowed was reduced. And Jacksonville at an even 22 points per game over the last 3 weeks, and 22.7 for the season, right there at 16th place. So that's pretty consistent for Jacksonville. What do you say, Benny?
Jacksonville. Yeah, but the consistency that catches my eye again is the Rams. Over the course of the season, they're giving up 16.3. Over the last 3 weeks, 17.3. Exactly 1 point difference.
Yeah,
That's consistency.
that is. That is. All right. Next up is the bottom half of this group. On the season side, Buffalo, Minnesota, Baltimore, Pittsburgh, You're all around the 22 to 23 points allowed to around the 20th. Miami, New Orleans, in the 24 range. Vegas, Arizona, Tampa Bay, 25-point range. The Jets at 26, allowing 26.5, exactly the same amount as the Chicago Bears. The Bears, their defense needs to help that young man. He's that young quarterback they got. Washington, Tennessee, your Giants, Dallas. You see what I was saying about Dallas? You get for the season 28.5 points per game, and even worse than that. Cincinnati giving up 32.7 points per game, which is my whole argument as to why they just need to let Burrow sit on what you call him because on the bench because he gonna go out there and get hurt trying to make up for that defense.
Bro,
And he ain't
this
gonna
is
make it.
not the NBA. We don't do load management.
Well, so I would have called what you will. He wouldn't have played.
Call it what it is.
You calling it load management. I'm calling it don't waste your time.
Don't waste your time.
You ain't, we don't, that's not the reason we're losing. But in any event, on the last 3 weeks side, Seattle is number 17 tied with Las Vegas. That's a weird tie. Seattle and Las Vegas in terms of defense. Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Kansas City. Kansas City tied with the Jets. That's a weird tie. Atlanta, 23.7. My Niners tied with Tennessee. That ain't a good tie at all. Indianapolis at 25 points per game. Buffalo in 28th place over the last 3 weeks, giving up 28.3 points per game. And then below that, Washington, Tampa Bay. What's up with Tampa Bay? 35.3 points per game on average over the last 3 weeks, Benny. You keep an eye on Tampa Bay.
They took a bad one last week.
Huh?
They got blown out last week.
Okay. So then Cincinnati and Arizona. All right. You don't talk about the bottom half, so I'll move on to the last stat, average turnover differential. And Chicago has been holding on to first place, Benny, for weeks and weeks and weeks in terms of the season. So congratulations to them. The Rams, there you go again, Benny. 2.3 turnover differential. That is a lot. If you're averaging plus 2.3 turnovers per game, you really are winning that game. And they were and for the season, 1.1, second place. Houston goes from third place for the season at 0.9 to 1.3, tied with Green Bay at 1.3. They got a lot of ones there. One's down to the fifth place on the last 3 weeks between Green Bay, Chicago, Baltimore. The top five there in terms of the last 3 weeks, and Houston, Pittsburgh, and Tampa Bay the last 3 weeks for the season. Now, for the season, Philly's in sixth place, averaging plus 0.5, tied with Detroit and Atlanta. Got another three-way tie from 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th place between Jacksonville, Arizona, Green Bay, and Indianapolis. Cleveland, Kansas City, New England, and Baltimore round out the top half, with Pittsburgh, Detroit, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Kansas City not in the last 3 weeks running. So they fell out of the last 3 weeks. You have fourth place plus one, Chicago and Baltimore. You got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie between Philly, Arizona, Cleveland, the Chargers, and Las Vegas at 0.7, a two-way tie for 11th, 12th place between Atlanta and Carolina, and a four-way tie breaking even at 0 for Tampa Bay, New England, Tennessee, and Miami. And as you can see, the Chargers, Vegas, Carolina, Tennessee, and Miami were able to move up from the bottom half to the top half over the last 3 weeks there in green. What do you think about this turnover differential group?
Chicago holding on to number one over the course of the season. I like that. Only dropping down to 4 over the last 3 weeks. I like that too. That's part of what's keeping them afloat, on top of the fact that Caleb Williams is playing better. Again, LA Rams, second place overall over the course of the season, first place over the last 3 weeks, 10.3 average over the last 3 weeks. That's tremendous. Houston, interesting. Yeah, they're hanging in there. They got a big jump from something else that I'll talk about later when we do the Bias Plus report that really solidified them as the number one defense in the league, as far as I'm concerned. But we'll
Really?
get to that later. Yeah, it
Okay.
wasn't scoring. Scoring, and they're fine. They've been holding teams down, but they haven't been scoring a lot themselves. Hence their record. But you can't say anything bad about their defense or their turnover potential and actual turnover production over the course of the season, and especially over the course of the last 3 weeks. And the jump over the last 3 weeks, although it's only one spot, I think corresponds. I'm talking a lot about Houston. Actually, corresponds with the improvement in their play and the big win that they had last week. But that's all.
All right. All right. Well, over the last 3 weeks, from 6 down to 10, you got a tie from Philly, Arizona, Cleveland, the Chargers, and Vegas at 0.7. And again, turnover differential can go plus or minus. Atlanta and Carolina 0.3. Breaking even is Tampa Bay, New England, Tennessee, and Miami. Tennessee, Miami, Carolina, Vegas, and the Chargers moved up from the bottom half to the top half over the last 3 weeks. So they had some improvements going on. So you got to give them their due. Pittsburgh, Detroit, Jacksonville, Indianapolis, and Kansas City fell to the bottom half. So here's your bottom half, Benny. Let's just drop to the bottom there. New York Jets minus 1.2 over the last 3 weeks. Minnesota minus 2.7. That does not bode well for J.J. McCarthy. They were already at minus 1.1 in 31st place, but then the last 2 weeks they did not improve. As I look down this group, Dallas is in the bottom half. My Niners are in the bottom half, right there tied with your Giants, Cincinnati and Seattle for the season. And we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way tie between 25th place and 29th place as Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Kansas City, Seattle. And the Jets, that's the lowest rating I've seen for Seattle in pretty much anything that they've done. So what do you think about the bottom half, or do you have anything you want to say about that group?
Yeah, Seattle's down there after Darnold threw 4 picks 2 weeks ago. So,
Right.
so that helped drop him down there. Excuse me. Yeah, these guys are going to be hard pressed. The turnover differential is probably the one category where you really have more negative things to say about the teams that are low than you have positive things to say about the teams that are high. You cannot win if you're giving up a turnover more than you take away on average every single game. Like you're just waiting to help hand the win to the other team, and that can be trouble for a lot of teams, most teams.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Benny. Well, that covers the 4 stats for the Sterling Net Point Power Rankings. Again, I want to thank everybody. Please click the subscribe button and the notification bell. You can reach us at www.sterlingnppr.com, and we're on Facebook and on Instagram. All right, that's it for us. Take care.